And I'm guessing she would invest in pot stocks as well, Amanda, also very big in Canada. Why is it that the Canadians embrace weed and Bitcoin more than the Americans?
Well, easy for us to do pot, of course, because we had an easier path to legalization since we had one federal rule. You're going state by state, so a little tougher. But yeah, you don't think of Canadians as sort of the wild and crazy risk takers. So,
Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you, and we'll figure it out.
The following is a paid program. The opinions and views expressed do not reflect those of Bloomberg LP, its affiliates, or its employees.
Hi, I'm Jane King, and thank you for watching. This show is all about public, private, and blockchain companies. We bring you the innovators behind the companies making the headlines in that space. Some are sponsored, some are invited, all are curated and focused on telling you, the viewers, their story. Here we go. Cosmos is a crypto project similar to Ethereum with interoperability. And so with me to explain exactly what Cosmos is and what all that means, Ben Armstrong, and then also Peng Zong to explain it. So Ben, let's start with you. So you support the Cosmos project. Talk about what it is. What do you like about it?
Yeah, so I've always been a big proponent ever since I got into crypto and altcoins of smart contract platforms. I believe they're the future. I believe they got way more potential than Bitcoin ever dreamed of having. Much more functional. They serve purposes other than just being digital gold or currency. And so when I started looking into a lot of these projects early on, obviously Ethereum and then Tron and EOS were some of the bigger ones early on that seemed to be doing okay. But they still kept running into all of these different issues. And so we had kind of a new generation of, smart contract platform that started raising up. And one of those is Cosmos. And the focus of Cosmos, like you mentioned, is interoperability. So the idea is a huge problem in crypto is getting blockchains to work together. So like if I went on Uniswap, which is a decentralized exchange, ran on the Ethereum blockchain, I can't directly go and get assets that are on other chains. There are some workarounds like wrapped assets, synthetic versions of assets. But for actually trading an Ethereum-based asset versus, another kind of asset, you can't do it because they're not interoperable. The chains, they kind of just run, parallel to each other instead of perpendicular. And so Cosmos is set out to solve this problem. Of course, Tendermint, the company, the infrastructure lying beneath Cosmos, they've set out to solve this problem. And so far, they're doing a really good job. For a long time, I've said I think Cosmos is definitely one of the most underrated projects in all of crypto. Even though it does stay consistently in the top 50, I think it can go much higher because of, like I said, the problem they're trying to solve is what many people would believe the biggest problem in crypto.
They're interesting. I've never thought about that, making the blockchains work together. So, I mean, I guess at some point that will have to happen as blockchain and this whole industry grows. So, okay, so Peng, now, so you are CEO of Tendermint, and explain its relationship to Cosmos, and then talk a little bit about decentralization and explain why that matters.
Yeah, happy to chat about it. So Tendermint is a core company building Cosmos core infrastructure. Like Ben said, we do a lot of development that is required, to make sure blockchains can interoperate between each other. But Cosmos is a very decentralized entity, right? So while I'm the CEO of Tendermint, there are roughly 15 other core companies all building Cosmos tech. And that really is the strength of the ecosystem. So decentralized finance, right, is something that is on the tip of everyone's tongues today, especially in Ethereum. And it's always marketed as sort of this way to democratize access, to finance for everyone around the world, right? You don't have to go through, any sort of centralized intermediaries to transfer money or to get loans or, to make swaps or to trade assets. And, Ethereum has really brought that promise to life, I would say. But one of the biggest problems with Ethereum is the very high transaction costs, right? So as democratic as it is, you still need quite a big chunk of change to start getting into crypto and Ethereum, right? It's been said today that, if you have under $1,000 worth of assets that you want to start trading on the Ethereum platform with an exchange like Uniswap, you might not want to do it just because it can cost upwards of hundreds of dollars in fees just to make one swap. At which point, you don't have a much smaller,
sure
number of assets.
Those gas fees can be very detrimental. So, Peng, tell me a little bit more about Gravity DEX, I guess, decentralized exchange, I'm assuming, and Ameris. What are those? Who are those available to?
Yeah, so GravityDEX and Ameris are both products of Tendermint. GravityDEX is an open source trading protocol similar to Uniswap, but its one major defining difference is that it's multi-chain from the beginning, right? So in Cosmos, every chain generally only has one token, as opposed to Ethereum, which has many tokens due to smart contracts. But the cool thing about Cosmos is every chain that's built can send tokens back and forth between each other, right? So what we mentioned before, the high transaction fees on Ethereum are caused by congestion, right? It's as if everyone was on the same Google spreadsheet together trying to edit every cell at the same time. You're going to run into congestion problems. You're going to have limited numbers of people. And if you don't pay enough, your transactions might never happen. So in Cosmos, we care a lot about scalability. And we think that, application-specific blockchains, one chain that does one thing is the way to go. And GravityDEX allows you to trade assets between all of these chains together.
Thank you, guys. So interesting. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jane.
Secure, the true solution for your digital privacy and security. Secure is a private and secure messaging and email solution hosted in Switzerland, using proprietary military-grade encryption and Swiss privacy laws, giving you true privacy. Secure doesn't collect or sell your data and doesn't require your phone number or any personal data that hackers target. You can message and email non-secure users privately without the need for others to download Secure. Visit secure.com. Regain and protect your privacy today.
Akash Network is a marketplace for unused computer capacity. Welcome, Greg. And you're a seasoned developer, entrepreneur. You got 25 plus years of experience. So tell us a little bit about yourself, how you came up with the idea for Akash Network.
Thanks, Sharon. To simply put, I build things for people that build things. Been a programmer for a little over 25 years, in which my last 15 years have been building tools for developers. My passion really began with a company I founded called Angel Hack that I created to take hackathons to masses, right? And I helped several companies there launch, a notable one being Firebase, which got acquired by Google and eventually became Google Cloud's most used database. And Angel Hack was really where I gained an incredible insight into understanding developers, more particularly on common problems, which happen to be deployment. Deployment means taking what you developed on your workstation and making it available to your users in a scalable and hopefully a simple way. And that problem was a common problem back then, even now, and founded a company, Overclock Labs, to solve this problem. So we created software to make applications or internet applications fast by going to the edge. And essentially, customers would deploy the software in their data centers. Data centers are these machines which house other smaller computers that serve the cloud. So our software made it extremely simple to use data centers. And while we were deploying, we discovered that most capacity in these data centers, somewhere north of 85% of capacity remains unused for various reasons. And that's when the idea for a marketplace came about. And Akash Network was born with that intent to take that unused capacity, make it available in an open and a permissionless setting where the price is driven by the forces of demand supply in a free market setting.
Very interesting. And it just makes everything more efficient. I mean, you're using what's already out there. And so, cloud computing power, I don't even know if the public realizes how much we use cloud. There's, Netflix and DoorDash and just about all these apps that we use. Of course, Amazon Web Services, Google, Microsoft Azure, all those very well known. I mean, how do you fit into all those traditional cloud services?
Great question. So cloud today is about $370 billion market. Essentially, if you think of cloud as the central fabric to our modern society, everything you and I do, all our data, all our compute is, stored on the cloud in some form, right? This cloud is essentially someone else's computer residing in machines like data centers. So Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and even Alibaba control up to 80% of this market, of this $370 billion market. And they do that by offering services that are simple for companies to use on a on-demand basis. So if you want a data center, you can go to these companies and rent them on demand. Whereas Akash takes a little different approach. Instead of owning our data centers, we go and tap into unused capacity. Like I said, 85% or so of capacity in 8.4 million data centers globally is unused. So we take this capacity and we offer a cloud that's designed around a modern developer, really putting developers in first. What that means is Akash developers set the price instead of companies setting their price like in your traditional cloud.
So interesting. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming and telling us about it. We're back with SportemonGo CEO Rick Jackson to tell us about some updates. And Rick, I understand you had kind of an exciting thing. SportemonGo was a major sponsor for the Jake Paul Woodley fight. Can you tell me about that? I mean, that was huge pay-per-view, right? With the biggest so far this year. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right. They were saying it'd probably be one of the biggest, but I heard the figures that it was the biggest.
Okay.
And so to be on the canvas and sponsoring the Ring Girls for such a major event that, went to millions and millions of homes was quite fantastic.
And then you've also been on an impressive list with some big stars as well. Talk about that and all these exciting things that you have going on.
Yeah, so we've hit the ground running, and I'm lucky I've got 30 years worth of business experience and credentials and networks. And so through that, we've been able to get to lots of meetings. And Corey's been in the US based, and he's met with, Manny Pacquiao and Wilder and Top Ring Boxing. And then, of course, that led to the opportunity to sponsor Showtime pay-per-view. We're very happy that that's exposed our brand to the global market now.
Yeah, no, that's huge. What do you dislike about doing these deals, signing players, working on teams for the app? I mean, how does the whole process work, and what do you like and not like about it?
Well, I think Corey's got the fun part because he goes to all the red carpet events in the front row at the ringside and, gets the photo with the stars. And I do all the contracts and sit at home in COVID lockdown. So he's definitely got the best part of it. But look, there is some challenges with travel during these times. And actually, Corey would have been here today, except he's probably been caught up in that. But we've been doing this for a long time, so we understand that negotiation can take time and it's got to be a win for both parties. And sometimes it just doesn't work out for that one time. But if you have good relations, then there's always down the road. And that's always worked pretty well for us.
Yeah, no, that's actually excellent advice for anybody in business because timing may not be right at that particular time, but if you have a good experience, it may make sense later down. So I think that's absolutely good advice. So now when people typically would go to a sporting event, there'd be a collectible. Do you plan on getting into anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So depending on the sport, we're looking at things like game day minting. So when you go to an event, you'll get a special NFT for that day, and you can only get it for that day. And so it may be available at the physical stadium, or it may be from your lounge room, watching Showtime or ESPN or one of those major sports networks. But it's only available for a short time, and we call that a limited mint period. And the moments, the magic moments and memories that are created on that day, captured in NFT, only available for a short time, straight into our app or on our website.
Okay, we'll look for that. Thanks, Rick. Good to see you again.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Petproducts.com. Thousands of products. An Al Simon Wee Wee Pad Inventor Company. Kylin Network is building a cross-chain platform powering the data economy on Polkadot. And with me is the Chief Stratosphere Officer. Is that right?
That's correct.
Right. And you were the CEO, but it's not CEO as we know it, Chief Executive Officer. So tell me about that. And why did you switch titles?
Yeah, so it was always in the cards when we began Kylin Network that we would move to a DAO, which is DAO. It's another way of saying DAO, which is a decentralized autonomous organization. And that may seem like a mouthful, but basically that means that the authority and control of a project is not necessarily centered in the project founders or an executive team or anything like that in terms of the traditional way that we've come to understand corporate structures. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with corporate structures or startup structures. In fact, they're some of the most efficient ways of organizing projects at early stages. However, it was always our long-term view to organize Kylin in the sense of a DAO, in the sense of the community eventually coming to take control. And indeed, we have sort of this 5-step process as we move more towards the governance and authority over the decision-making about the future of Kylin sitting in the hands of community members themselves. We wanted to kind of put our money, if you will, or Kylin, if you will, where our mouth was. And we felt it really made a lot of sense to upgrade and to recruit from the community itself and put people in positions of power and authority within the project. Now, honestly, I'll admit, we're at a point in our history where Kylin is about to, I think, really explode. We've reached a very large technical innovation within the Polkadot ecosystem called, this is a little technical jargon, but it's called XCMP palette calling. But I didn't feel like I was losing anything by giving more authority over to our CTO, who has now become CEO. and his name's Sam El-Amin, and he in fact came from the community. He was a community member as of like 7 months ago, became an ambassador, increasingly got involved with our tech team, went to lead tech, then chief technical officer, and now I've given him the reins for more day-to-day operations. I'm Elon Musking it a little bit as I start work on another project that's very synergetic with Kylin called NFT3, where we're working on a virtual identity layer. But yeah, I mean, I'm taking a sort of, I call it chief stratosphere officer because I'm taking more of a high level view of the project. And Sam is leading it, and we're putting our money where our mouth is when it comes to organizing on a principle of what we call DAO in practice, which is everything is oriented toward, that initial vision that we put forward almost a year ago now, of orienting this toward a community governed project.
Thanks again for joining us.
My pleasure.
Petproducts.com. Thousands of products. An Al Simon Wee Wee Pad Inventor Company. Hello, I'm Jane King, and with me is Yuri Sorokin, the founder and CEO of 3Commas, which is a cryptocurrency trade automation platform. So, Yuri, welcome. Great to have you here.
Hi, Jane. Thanks for having me.
So tell me about the company. I know, this started like a dream, and then you had built a project, and you've come a long way since then. So give me a history of what brought you to today.
Definitely. So when we started getting involved in crypto around 5 years ago, we realized that the crypto space is missing a lot of the tools that were available on the traditional markets for years. So you have to understand that there is this main difference between crypto and the traditional world of finance, I would say, where in crypto, a person controls his own money. So we call this the era of be your own bank. However, we quickly realized that the tools that were available from banks or brokers for years were not available in the crypto space. So this is happening because this being such a new industry and a new technology, the first businesses that emerged were crypto exchanges, and crypto exchanges were and still are much more focused on obtaining new users and scalability and providing these users with good service than actually building tools for them. So we saw this opportunity, and we had this vision of building a platform that will provide average traders with a simple UI and great experience to trade crypto.
Mm-hmm. So what are the tools and why are they important?
Yeah, so you should think of any person who will come trading crypto as a person who wants to make money. And usually this will be a newcomer. I would say that 90% of the space are not professionals. And the tools are critical because the only way this person can actually start making money is to learn some trading strategies, and then he will have to execute them. So how will he do it? Actually, he will only sit in front of his computer like 24 hours per day, being worried about making a mistake or maybe making some wrong call or something. And he will essentially remove himself from the presence of his usual life. You will see a lot of people getting, anxious and stuff. And now the professionals that were trading like stocks or Forex for years, they would have this group of engineers that would code the strategies for them, because for a person, it's not really a scalable story. And what we do at 3Commas is that we provide people really simple to use user interface that requires no coding knowledge from them, that will allow them to build, test, and execute their strategies without.
Okay, well, thank you. And congratulations on how far you've come, and good luck as you move forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Jane.
Thank you.
PetProducts.com. Thousands of products. An Al Simon Wee Wee Pad Inventor Company.
SAFEEARTH is saving the planet through investment in crypto. And with me is CEO Kenneth Churchill to explain what SAFEEARTH is all about. So, Kenneth, give me an overview of what you're doing and why.
So, of course, hi, Jane. Nice to meet you. We are SAFEEARTHCrypto.com. We are an eco-friendly driven project on the Ethereum blockchain. So we are a charity-based token that generates funds for charity. At the moment, we have about 8,000 holders or investors who really believe in our course. Since launch, we've raised a total of $240,000, which has been distributed to various charities around the world. Our initiative is to be helping to save the planet through investment. We also reward our holders by giving them certain transactions back on their investment.
Okay, so how does it work? How would somebody get started? How do we know where our money is going?
So, of course, obviously, like I said before, our website, SAFEEARTHCrypto.com, will have all the information that anybody needs to join our course. But we are all about generating funds for charity, and it is because of our amazing community and our holders who believe in our course. So we have certain rules that are applied to our token, which are called our tokenomics, which applies a 4% tax to every transaction that happens on the network. Now, part of that transaction is split, like I said, into 4 different percentages. 1% of each transaction will be added to what's called the liquidity pool. Now, this means that people can buy and trade our token without any worries of the price, that they're not going to be able to buy or sell. Think about it in a way that's sort of like a bank's vault. In a way, it's not accessible by us, but it's accessible by our customers who sort of buy and trade the token. Now, another 1% of that tax goes directly to our holders. So as people, again, buy and trade our token, they'll be automatically rewarded with rewards directly back into their crypto wallet. Another percent of that is used on marketing. And the final percent, which is where the magic happens, is where it goes into what we call the Earth Fund. So 1% of every transaction that happens on our network is added to our Earth Fund wallet in the form of Ethereum that we can then hand out to different charities who are helping save the planet.
Thank you so much, Kenneth, for sharing the story. Thank you for what you're doing. It sounds like you're really making a difference in people's lives. So I appreciate that.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you for your time.
The proceeding was a paid program. The opinions and views expressed do not reflect those of Bloomberg LP, its affiliates, or its employees.
Global markets never sleep, so stay connected with Francine Lacqua.